p.m. Time for CBX Business News. The business news headlines is brought to you by CBX Wealth Management, making more possible. Market risks, Ghana's economic bet, and air travel chaos. Hello and welcome to CBX Business News for Monday, August 18, 2025. I'm Yanil Wood. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in the newscast locally, Morgan Stanley's CIO warns of risks in U.S. stock rally. On the regional front, Ghana's APNU unveils 2025 manifesto promising economic transformation and a drive to eliminate poverty. And on the global stage, Air Canada strike grounds over 1,100 flights, defying federal orders and disrupting travelers. Stay tuned as we unpack these stories and more right after our first break.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
Me grew up and see my granny and save her money under her mattress.
Exactly. Your grandmother house never burned down?
No, how you reach this, so? That was a one-off thing.
That could have happened to anybody. That's why you must put your money in a financial institution and protect it.
What if the bank crash?
Well, that's where JDIC comes in.
What you mean?
JDIC is a financial safety net which provides coverage for your money in case your financial institution fails.
Explain that to me.
All right. Because of the JDIC deposit insurance scheme, once you put your money into a financial institution like a bank or building society, you can get coverage of up to a maximum of $1.2 million per deposit of your financial institution if it should fail. And for even more information, you can visit their new website at www.jdic.org, and you can follow the social media platforms for the latest information.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
You may have fears in listing on the main market or the junior market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Whatever those fears are, we can help you to allay them. Give us a call today. Our friendly professional staff will help you through the process. Let us have that conversation. Give us that call.
Let's all get fit. This summer set drip. Hip dips and split. Power in the mind, let's get healthy with it. Sometimes the body's so hard, but the body wants it. And then your head is so hard, and it's so like this. So we gotta go 1, 2, 3. One more now. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. One more now. 1, 2, 3. One more now. 1, 2, 3, go.
Caribbean dreams, instant turmeric. What you put in is what you get out. What you put in is what you get out. Yeah. Build up your body up your brain. Take on the world now. Say bye-bye pain. Caribbean Dreams, instant turmeric tea. Be good to you. Caribbean Dreams, instant turmeric tea. Distributed by Amalgamated Distributors Limited.
The local news is brought to you by Derriman Trading. Better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses. And Pulse Investments. Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with a cautionary alert for local investors. While recent sentiment points to a new bull case emerging for U.S. equities, Morgan Stanley's Wealth Management's Chief Investment Officer and Head of Global Investments, Lisa Chalette, is warning investors that optimism may be masking underlying risks. In a recent podcast entitled Mastering the Shrug, Chalette says a careful analysis of the broader market data reveals several threats that investors are currently overlooking. While stock performance has shown strength in recent weeks, she emphasizes the importance of not ignoring potential vulnerabilities that could affect the sustainability of gains.
First is the labor market. The latest non-farm payroll numbers were eye-popping, not only for missing the consensus estimate, but also for the significant downward revisions to the previous 2 months. The 3-month average job creation now stands at a meager 35,000, well below the previous trend of 150,000. There is more data that substantiates this trend. For example, continuing unemployment claims are up significantly since April. The JOLTS report suggests that the lowest hiring rate since 2020, and a Conference Board survey indicates that finding a job is now as difficult as it was in 2021.
One of her concerns is how investors are interpreting second quarter earnings from certain companies.
A second area where investors may be wearing rose-colored glasses is how they're interpreting second quarter earnings. Yes, the earnings beat rate is once again at 80%, and the earnings revision breadth is now positive. And year-over-year earnings growth is currently pacing at more than 9%. Beneath the surface, though, there are material sectoral skews, and the ongoing dominance of the Magnificent Seven is glaring. Of the 11 major sectors, only 3, infotech, communication services, and financials, have posted double-digit gains. And while the Magnificent Seven are growing their earnings at a 26% annual clip, the remaining 493 companies in the S&P 500 are barely up.
Her third major concern is mounting inflation pressures. Shelley noted that the full impact of the 10% universal tariffs has yet to be reflected in reported inflation figures. According to the Global Investment Committee, this likely suggests a case of pain delayed, not denied.
Should consider adding real assets like gold, REITs, energy infrastructure, industrials and ag commodities, and taking an active stock selection approach to U.S. large-cap quality names. Intermediate duration investment-grade fixed income, including municipals, and international equities, including emerging markets, as well as hedge funds and private secondaries, round out our key recommendations. Thanks for listening, and for more
CIO and Head of Global Investments at Morgan Stanley Wealth Management, Lisa Chalette. Barita Investments Limited BIL is reporting that its total revenue for the financial year to date stands at $6.3 billion, representing an 11% decline relative to the $7 billion earned for financial year 2024. Pre-tax profit was $2.9 billion compared to $3.9 billion reported in the prior year. Barita says this decline was driven by a decline in real estate-related revenues, which were elevated in the prior year due to significant revaluation gains. However, Traditional business lines beyond real estate continue to demonstrate resilience and underlying growth, as revenue from non-real estate lines rose by $1.5 billion or 32% year-on-year, resulting in $6.4 billion compared to $4.8 billion in the prior period. Barita's net profit for the 9 months financial year 2025 period stood at $2.2 billion, declining 22% when compared to the corresponding 2024 period. The resulting earnings per share, EPS, also declined 22% to $1.87. Meanwhile, for the quarter ended June 30, Barita registered revenues of $2.7 billion, $609 million or 30% higher than quarter 3 of financial year 2024. This was due to increased gains from alternative investment business lines and increased fees and commission income year-on-year, partially offset by decreased foreign exchange trading, translation gains, and NII. And Derrimon Trading Company recorded a consolidated net profit of $106.44 million, representing an increase of $43.81 million or 69.94% above the $62.63 million reported for the previous year's comparative period. In its unaudited financial statements for the 3 months ended June 30, 2025, Derrimon says net profit attributable to shareholders improved 86.51% to $79.05 million, with earnings per share or EPS at $0.017. For the comparable period, EPS was $0.009. Meanwhile, for the same period, the group's revenue amounted to $4.21 billion, which is $41.37 million or 0.97% lower than the $4.25 billion reported for the comparative period last year. According to the company, the reduction in consolidated revenue is attributed to both the distribution and rail core business reporting slightly lower volumes and revenues during the period. It further notes that the company's strategy is to grow revenue profitability rather than growth without profitability. Derrimon is also reporting gross profit of $1.23 billion, which represents an increase of $113.8 million or 10.17% above the $1.12 billion reported for the comparative 2024 period. The improvement in the group's gross profit stems from the efforts of the Central Purchasing Department's effective cost management during the period, which improved the consolidated gross profit margins from 26.34% to 29.30%. And profit before tax PBT for this period was $127.73 million, an increase of $62.75 million or 96.57%. From the $64.98 million reported for the period ended June 30, 2024. Now to foreign currency trading news. At the end of Monday's currency trading, the US dollar is selling for $161.34, the Canadian for $116.71, and the pound for $219.52. The going rate for the euro is $188.35. Next, we go to trading news from the Jamaica Stock Exchange. 112 stocks traded on the JSE Monday, of which 42 advanced, 47 declined, and 23 traded firm. Leading the winners were Mayberry Jamaican Equities, Knutsford Express, Jetcon Corporation, and Epley Limited, while the losers were led by One Great Studio Company, Jamaica Public Service 9.5%, Paramount Trading, and Sterling Investments. Now the main index declined by 1,730.10 points or 0.55% to close at 312,469.49. The junior market index, however, advanced by 14.16 or 0.41% to close at 3,433.89. 86. And it's time for our market education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standard. As Jamaica's political parties presented their candidates for the September 3 general election during today's nomination day, here's what that means. Nomination day is the official date set for naming candidates to compete in elections within each electoral division. By law, it must take place no fewer than 16 days and no more than 23 days before election day, and at least 5 clear days after the election is announced. To register as a candidate, individuals must complete a nomination form, be endorsed by at least 10 registered voters in their constituency, and pay a nomination fee of $15,000 for general elections and $3,000 for by-elections. To be eligible for the House of Representatives, candidates must be Jamaican citizens or Commonwealth citizens who have lived in Jamaica for at least 12 months prior to the nomination date. Now for by-elections, candidates must have lived in the electoral division for at least 12 months before election day and must not have contracts with local authorities related to land or payments that could affect their candidacy. The market education feature was brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. And that's it for our market education feature and the end of the local segment. Please stick around. The regional business news is up next. The local news is brought to you by Darriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses. And Pulse Investments.
Caribbean Dreams, instant turmeric tea. What you put in is what you get out. What you put in is what you get out. Yeah. Build up your body, boost up your brain. Take on the world now. Say bye-bye pain. Caribbean Dreams, instant turmeric tea. Be good to you. Caribbean Dreams, instant turmeric tea. Distributed by Amalgamated Distributors Limited.
Hi, I'm Nielsen Rose, host of Let's Talk Stocks, reminding you that health is indeed wealth and time is really money. Why not spend a little time with us? Weekday mornings, 9 to 9:30 a.m. for your daily dose of business, economic, and investment insights.
Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited has been a part of Jamaica's manufacturing landscape for over 20 years. By crafting unique flavors and fragrances, we have become a part of your favorite household and food items such as beverages, ice cream, household cleaners, and much more. Known throughout the Caribbean for the highest quality, we continue to innovate with strong leadership, a dedicated team with integrity. We go the extra mile for our customers. Create the next taste sensation. Contact us at 876-9235-111 or visit our website, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn pages.
Gardening coming along well.
Thanks, man. You know, it's a long time I've been working at it.
I can see that. I saw your mail by the gate, so I'll pick it up for you. But tell me something. Why are you still receiving dividend checks by mail?
What do you mean about that?
You need to give JCST a mandate.
You know me hear about the mandate them. I'm going over there right now.
A mandate means giving instructions to the Jamaica Central Securities Depository Limited, JCST, relating to the handling of your dividend or interest payment. There are 3 types of mandates. The first is a bank mandate. The second is a hold mandate. Lastly, we have what we call a third-party mandate, with which the investor may wish to send their dividend or interest to someone other than the parties on their account or institution of their choice.
Serious about building Jamaica? Build with solid PVC pipes and conduits, manufactured in Jamaica by Phosphate, made to the highest standard. Solid PVC pipes and conduits are made in Jamaica by Jamaicans for Jamaicans. Available at hardware stores across the island. Take some solid advice, support our economy, and build well. Buy solid PVC pipes. Next time, ask for solid brand PVC pipes and conduits. Call our distributors or Phosphate at 876-937-5099.
Hi, I'm Nielsen Rose, host of Let's Talk Stocks, reminding you that health is indeed wealth and time is really money. Why not spend a little time with us? Weekday mornings, 9 to 9:30 a.m. for your daily dose of business, economic, and investment insights.
I'm trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
I'm also trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
Start a conversation with the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Check jamstockx.com for information and a list of registered stockbrokers. You can also call the Jamaica Stock Exchange at 876-967-3271 for information on how to begin. I am achieving my financial goals.
I'm achieving my financial goals.
It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Don't never ever ever wanna calm down. No, no, no. Yeah, yeah.
Let's all get fit. This summer set drip. Hip dips and split. Power in the mind, let's get healthy with it. Sometimes your body's so hard, but your body wants it. And then your head is so home, and it's so like this. So we gotta go 1, 2, 3. One more now. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. One more now. 1, 2, 3. One more now. 1, 2, 3, go.
Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances. It started out as a small family-owned business, and now we're a part of a large group of companies. Being listed on the stock exchange allows us a certain prestige. It also speaks to accountability and transparency. We had some fears about getting our information in the public domain, but once we contacted the Jamaica Stock Exchange, who have the knowledge and the experience to guide us, we were comfortable with getting into the process. If you have any doubts about being listed, just give the Jamaica Stock Exchange a call. They'll be very happy to take you through the process and also provide you with information that you may need. Make that call now.
Welcome back. We go now to news from across the region. As Ghana prepares to head to polls on September 1, opposition party, a Partnership for National Unity, APNU, has unveiled a bold election manifesto focused on investment-led growth, fiscal discipline, and expansion beyond the oil sector. Speaking during the launch last Friday, presidential candidate Aubrey Norton emphasized the need to balance government spending with private sector growth in the party's 2025 election economic plan, highlighting export-led strategies as key to expanding the non-oil economy.
Clearly, there is a need for a balance between the needs of the private sector and that of the government. In our view, if the non-oil economy is to grow, it will be necessary for the government to adjust its spending to prevent the continued crowding out of the private sector from access to adequate amounts of foreign currency. At this time, no manufacturer would be persuaded to engage in large-scale production without access to export markets because of the small size of our domestic market. Given our desire to diversify the production structure, the export market is vital. Consequently, a major focus must be the opening of foreign markets for our non-oil exports.
The APNU presidential candidate also announced plans to increase the tax exemption threshold by over 200%.
The minimum wage for public servants will be increased to $200,000 per month. In addition, the APNU government will extend the tax exemption threshold for all workers from $130,000 per month to $400,000 per month.
APNU presidential candidate Aubrey Norton. As one of the 6 parties contesting the general election, this manifesto is said to position APNU as a pro-business alternative, aiming to leverage Ghana's oil revenues while expanding non-oil sectors, creating inclusive growth, and ensuring the private sector remains central to economic development. Belize and Mexico have reaffirmed their commitment to existing energy agreements and are exploring opportunities to expand cooperation in the electricity sector. Talks have focused on the possibility of increasing Mexico's power supply to Belize, as well as the potential for a two-way energy trade. Speaking with the media recently, Prime Minister John Briceño says under the arrangement, Belize could sell excess electricity generated from its growing renewable energy projects back to Mexico.
We want to ensure that that Mexico will continue to support us or to be able to sell enough energy so we do not have the apocalypse that we had the last year. But also importantly, Belize now is working towards having more sustainable forms of energy. We just put out a call for up to 8 megawatts of solar. And then the government is working on another 40 megawatts of solar. And then there are other companies that also want to come into Belize to produce energy. Our plan is to be able to be self-sustainable, to depend as much as possible on sustainable forms of energy. But at the same time, we want to be able to connect to the CPAC grid, to the Central American grid, and that then we could produce enough to be able to sell into Central American grid or into Mexico.
Prime Minister of Belize, John Briceño. In other news, Renaissance Energy Limited REL has hit a breakthrough in its entry to Trinidad and Tobago's upstream sector, announcing that its maiden drilling campaign in the Wilson Sands Formation delivered commercial hydrocarbons across all 3 wells. In a recent release, the company says its inaugural effort achieved a 100% success rate, validating exploration models and setting the stage for expanded development. Executed under budget and without a single safety incident, REL says the campaign also demonstrated their operational discipline in a competitive energy landscape. Management says the results confirm the high prospectivity of the Barrack Pour, Wilson Sands acreage adding that the focus now turns to planning the next phase of drilling. In a parallel move underscoring its long-term vision, REL has unveiled its Energy Future Initiative, a program designed to attract and develop young professionals for the energy sector. Working with both public and private stakeholders, the initiative will develop curricula and outreach programs to expose students and early career professionals to opportunities across the energy value chain. Now to trading news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. 20 securities traded on the TTSE Monday, of which 2 advanced, 8 declined, and 10 traded firm. Today's winners were National Enterprises and First Citizens Group Financial Holdings, while leading the losers were Trinidad and Tobago NGL, One Caribbean Media, Guardian Holdings, and Unilever Caribbean. Other results include the All TNT Index declining by 1.26 to close at 1,465.80. The Composite Index declining by 0.65 to close at 1,016.79. And the Cross-Listed Index remained at 75.10. The SME Index, however, declined by 0.01 to close at 96.43. And we go for a short break, but please stay with us. The International News segment with Rondine Williams is up next.
Welcome back. We turn now to the international markets and major global developments. Air Canada is facing significant operational disruptions as 10,000 flight attendants remain on strike, defying a federal back-to-work order issued by the Canadian Industrial Relations Board. The strike, which began on Saturday, has led to the grounding of over 1,100 flights, affecting approximately 130,000 passengers daily. The Canadian Union of Public Employees represents the striking workers and has vowed to continue the strike, challenging the government's decision to impose binding arbitration. The union argues that the airline's wage offer, which includes a 17.2% increase over 4 years, is insufficient, particularly given inflation and the demands of the job. Air Canada has suspended its third quarter and full-year financial forecasts due to the ongoing disruptions. And as Canada grapples with labor unrest, markets across Europe showed caution on Monday. European stocks ended slightly lower, with the Euro Stock 50 down 0.3% to 5,431, while the broader Stock 600 held steady. Bank shares including BNP Paribas and Nordea fell more than 1.5%. Investors are awaiting the Jackson Hole Symposium later this week, where U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell may provide guidance on the interest rate outlook. Meanwhile, London's FTSE 100 index is showing signs of resilience, outperforming its continental peers. Defense and aerospace stocks led, with Babcock International up 5%, while gold prices lifted Endeavour Mining and Dr. Martens advanced. Conversely, Cranswick slipped following animal welfare concerns. Meanwhile, industrial metal mining companies weakened 2.2% as a stronger U.S. dollar weighed on metal prices. Turning to the U.S. housing market, builder confidence remained subdued in August as elevated mortgage rates, weak buyer traffic, and ongoing supply-side challenges continue to weigh on sentiments. According to the National Association of Home Builders, NAHB Wells Fargo Housing Market Index, which measures builder confidence in newly built single-family homes, the index fell 1 point to 32 in August, down from July. This marks 16 consecutive months of negative sentiment, with the readings holding between 32 and 34 since May. NAHB Chairman Buddy Hughes says affordability continues to be the top challenge for the housing market, and buyers are waiting for mortgage rates to drop to move forward. He says builders are also grappling with supply-side headwinds, including ongoing frustrations with regulatory connected to developing land and building homes. Meanwhile, NAHB chief economist says a slowing housing market and elevated mortgage rates suggest the Federal Reserve could consider easing interest rates, which would reduce financing costs for housing and construction and indirectly help lower mortgage interest rates. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. Please do stay with us. The news recap is on the other side of the break. Welcome back to CBX Business News. Now to recap our top stories. Morgan Stanley's CIO warns of risks in U.S. stock rally. Regionally, Ghana's At New launches 2025 manifesto promises economic transformation. And on the international sea, Air Canada strike grounds over 1,100 flights, defies federal order. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of Rondine Williams and the entire production team, I'm Yanil Wood, thanking you for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.